This week on The Watchman, when disaster strikes, Israel jumps into action. See how one Israeli aid organization is helping the people of Puerto Rico rebuild their lives after the devastation of Hurricane Maria.
We embed ourselves within the local community. We collaborate with local NGOs, with governmental agencies, and we're here to help people get back on their feet and reimagine life.
Plus, a CUFI all-star panel breaks down all the latest Middle East news and what it means for you. It's The Watchman. It's Christians United for Israel, only on TBN. And welcome to The Watchman. You know, we talk a lot here on the show about the threats gathering against Israel and the West, against me and you and our families. It's not always pleasant, but the Bible says my people perish for lack of knowledge. Our team at CUFI believes you would rather know than not know about events unfolding in the Middle East today that will impact all of our lives in the days to come. Folks, what happens in the Middle East does not stay in the Middle East. That obviously includes the bad, but it also includes the good. If you watch us on a regular basis, you know that Israel is stepping into its biblical destiny as a light unto the nations, blessing the world with groundbreaking medical, scientific, and high-tech advances. Take out your phone and send a text message. That's Israeli technology. Is there a drought where you live? God forbid. Well, Israeli scientists are at the forefront of solving the water crisis in California and elsewhere. If a cure for cancer or Alzheimer's is found in the next few years, I firmly believe it will be found in Israel. Now, part of Israel being a light unto the nations, as described in the book of Isaiah, is coming to the aid of those in need. Wherever there is a natural disaster in any part of the world, you can count on Israeli first responders being the first ones on the ground to help. And once there, they see the job through. In September 2017, Hurricane Maria struck Puerto Rico, devastating the island. The effects are still being felt today. Our Watchman senior producer, Raj Nair, recently traveled to Puerto Rico to see how one Israeli organization is making a huge difference where it matters most. Raj, take it away.
Welcome to Puerto Rico. Now, you're probably asking yourself, what is the Watchman doing over 6,000 miles away from Israel? And honestly, it's a good question. So, why are you and I here? Well, we're here because Israel is here. Now, as you know, Hurricane Maria devastated this island, and a group of Israelis knew they had to do something. So, what have they been up to? Let's find out. Let me introduce you to Seth Davis. He is the Executive Director of IsraAid United States. So first off, Seth, what is IsraAid and why are you guys here in Puerto Rico?
IsraAid is the largest humanitarian organization that was founded in Israel roughly 17 years ago. It was founded in the States around 2013. And for 17 years, we've been sending Israeli experts across the globe after every disaster to help people in need and provide Israeli know-how and solutions to help the community recover back.
And why are you guys here in Puerto Rico?
So we work with a methodology that we like to call philo. We're first in and last out. So we arrived days after when Maria struck over a year ago, and we're here to stay for a few years to come. We embed ourselves within the local community. We collaborate with local NGOs, with governmental agencies, and we're here to help people get back on their feet and reimagine life.
And now we're joined by Broder, the country director for IsraAid Puerto Rico. So Haley, what is your mission here?
Our mission here in Puerto Rico is to restore a semblance of normalcy to the island after the devastating Hurricane Maria last September.
So what was the state of this island before you guys got here?
Our team arrived in Puerto Rico 1 week after the hurricane. And when we arrived, there was a complete lack of infrastructure left intact on the island. There were roads completely damaged, trees down. It was lines to get gas, lines to get food, areas in the mountains that were completely cut off from anything. The community that we're working with in El Real had no electricity for 8 months after the hurricane. Ezra Aid is working in the rural areas in the municipality of Patillas, where we're collaborating with the Inter-American University of Puerto Rico to build a slow sand, gravity-based water filtration system. It's a mouthful, but basically it's a water filtration system that's going to provide this community that was without electricity for 8 months and still is without access to clean, safe drinking water. A way to have clean, safe drinking water go straight into their taps. The way Ezra Aid works is shifting from an emergency response into the long term. So when we first arrived, we went straight into this rural mountain area that we knew was not being serviced. We're the only NGO that's working in that municipality right now. And we were able to distribute Sawyer water filters to members of that community, where we worked with the community to educate them in Spanish on how to actually use the filters. They didn't just sit in a kitchen cabinet. And then from there, we were able to develop this long-term sustainable solution that is the giant water filtration system that we're building to provide a long-term sustainable impact. It's off-grid, it doesn't rely on electricity, and it's going to be sustainable for years to come.
So we're currently in a town called Barrio Real, which is like an hour south of San Juan, and I'm joined here by Santos, who lives here. Now Santos, what all has Ezra Aid been up to in this part of the island?
It's a miracle, because it will give us what we need to have real potable water. They are spectacular people. I mean, they are so helpful, they are so forward in helping people, and they travel the island. It's not only here in Barrio Real in Patillas, but they are all over Puerto Rico that they're involved. We're so grateful that until today we still talk about every single person that have come to Puerto Rico or to help us here in Barrio Real from Ezra Aid. They bring life, that's what I say.
So this is Maria, and this is actually her home here in Barrio Real. Maria, what was it like here right after the hurricane?
Pero tuvimos casi un año sin luz, oscura, teléfono. No fue fácil. Hicieron mucho, mucho. Ahora mismo están haciendo ese filtro ahí que hace falta. Hacía falta el filtro ese. Han trabajado muy bien. Muy bien, ellos han trabajado bien. Estamos muy agradecidos de ellos que trabajaran así como están trabajando todavía. Ese filtro que están haciendo ahí está muy bueno, porque vamos a tener una calidad de agua, más calidad. Antes no teníamos esa calidad de agua como la vamos a tener ahora. Estamos muy agradecidos. Han trabajado muy bien.
What an incredible story, and many thanks to the folks at Ezra Aid.
Thanks again to Raj Nair for that incredible story. Folks, let's keep the people of Puerto Rico in our prayers. Well, up next, we're joined by a CUFI all-star panel to discuss all the latest news out of the Middle East and how it affects you. You'll want to hear this. Do not move.
Israel faces growing threats on all sides. Hezbollah, ISIS, Iran, and Hamas never cease their attacks. But God has raised CUFI up at this moment in history to stand between Israel and those who seek to destroy the Jewish state.
Israel's enemies are on the move. As dark clouds gather on the horizon, tell the world you proudly stand with Israel. Be a courageous voice for biblical unity and moral clarity when you join Christians United for Israel. Show your love for the people of Zion with this beautiful symbol of unending support for Israel.
Wear the pen and join CUFI, a movement of over 5 million defenders of Israel. Call the number on your screen or visit cufi.org/pen to receive your pen that will show your proud support for the special bond between Israel and America.
back. We like to say that our team here at Christians United for Israel has a very deep bench of talent. Well, today we are joined by two of our best. Ari Morgenstern is CUFI's Communications Director. Kasim Hafiz is our Middle East Analyst. Gentlemen, great to have you with us. And wow, so much going on in the Middle East today. Thankfully, we have you guys to break it down for us and why it all matters to everyone sitting there at home. Ari, let's start with those terror tunnels dug by Hezbollah that the IDF, the Israel Defense Forces, have uncovered. Tell us the latest on that Hezbollah terror tunnel threat.
Well, I think as most of your viewers know, Israel discovered no less than a half dozen tunnels dug underneath the border intended to send Hezbollah special forces, their equivalent of special forces, into Israel with one single goal: kill as many innocent people as possible. Thank God we have the IDF's intelligence. Thank God we have the IDF's ability to ensure that these terror tunnels were dispatched with and dealt with. But this is not a new tactic. Hezbollah is adopting the tactics of Hamas. When rockets don't work, tunnels are the answer. But the answer to both of those threats is the Israeli Defense Forces, and we're very happy that Israel was able to thwart that threat before it started taking innocent lives.
Yeah, and Hassan Nasrallah, the leader of Hezbollah, Ari, kind of gloated about the tunnels recently and saying that it took Israel so long to find them, etc. But I have a feeling Israel knew they were there and waited to act at the opportune time.
I think that's right. Look at the investment that Hezbollah and Hamas on their end, but look at the investment that Hezbollah had to have made to develop these tunnels. These are not just individuals digging underneath the ground trying to get into Israel. Yeah. This is a incredibly sophisticated effort that has lighting, that uses cement, that uses all kinds of infrastructure qualities that will enable the tunnels to really bring forces into what is Israel's territory. So the Israelis waited, I think, until the opportune moment to deal with the threat, and I am not surprised that Hezbollah is trying to spin their incredible loss as some sort of veiled victory.
Yeah, Nasrallah keeps talking also about an invasion of northern Israel and making noise about that, Ari. Kasim, we can't talk about Hezbollah without talking about its Iranian master. Can you talk about how Hezbollah is just a fully fledged arm of the Iranian regime in southern Lebanon?
For sure. I mean, Iran have said it numerous times that their most successful tool of exporting the Islamic Revolution has been Hezbollah. Hezbollah was founded during the civil war in Lebanon, and Iran have shown footage of their troops going to Lebanon to create and train Hezbollah, and essentially it is their most successful proxy. And Hezbollah's growth, Hezbollah's expansion, their weaponry, all of it has Iranian fingerprints on it. Hezbollah operates on Iranian orders, and that's something Hezbollah have accepted.
And Kasim, you've documented here for CUFI how Hezbollah's tentacles now spread not only from southern Lebanon, but also into Syria. Talk about why Syria is so important in Iran's greater goals to destroy Israel.
Now you have Iranian entrenchment on two, you could argue three, with Gaza, Israeli borders, and you have direct supply lines. Iran are flying flights full of weaponry, missiles, advanced technology straight into Syria, and they have land routes right into Lebanon, and the UN aren't really doing much.
Yeah, to say, surprise, surprise, right? Ari, we know that the Iranian regime wants to form that land corridor from Tehran all the way to the Mediterranean. Talk more about, number one, that land corridor goal of the Iranians, but number two, Iran's influence in the Middle East, pretty much controlling 4 Arab capitals.
That's right. At the end of the day, it's a key figure that we need to consider. Iran spends $16 billion a year propping up dictators and supporting terrorists. That's more than the entire United States Department of Transportation's annual budget.
$16 billion.
$16 billion, according to a report from...
And I shudder to ask, Ari, about what role the Iran nuclear deal and the billions we gave back to the regime played in that budget.
I think that there's a fairly easy logical conclusion that if, as the Iran deal did, you give a bad actor, an evil regime, $150 billion, they're going to use it to engage in bad actions to advance their evil regime. So whether it's in Yemen, where they're fighting, whether it's in Lebanon, where they are essentially through Hezbollah, the de facto rulers of the south of the country, or it's propping up the Assad regime and ensuring that that murderous, abhorrent dictator managed to stay in power. Iran has its tentacles throughout the Middle East, and Iran is spreading evil and violence at every opportunity that they can in that region.
Yeah, and a scary thought too, gentlemen, we're going to talk about this after the break, is Iran and Hezbollah not only have their tentacles throughout the Middle East, as Ari said, they also are spreading their tentacles in your backyard, right here in the West. Find out what Iran and Hezbollah are doing in the U.S. and beyond after the break. Stick around. Hey everyone, Erick Stakelbeck here. I want you to join me in Washington, D.C. this July for the premier pro-Israel event in the United States. The 14th annual CUFI Washington Summit will be held on July 7th, 8th, and 9th at the D.C. Convention Center, and it will be our biggest and best yet. Thousands of pro-Israel Christians will join together and lift their voices in the nation's capital for Zion's sake. CUFI's founder and chairman, the one and only Pastor John Hagee, will be there. He'll be joined by the U.S. Ambassador to Israel, David Friedman, and many other very special guests. But most importantly, attending CUFI's Washington Summit gives you the chance to personally deliver a strong pro-Israel message to your members of Congress. I'll be in D.C. this summer, and I hope you'll be there too to raise your voice for Israel for such a time as this. And welcome back. We are with our Watchman All-Star panel, CUFI's Communications Director Ari Morgenstern, our Middle East analyst Kasim Hafiz. We're talking Iran, Hezbollah, Syria, and much more. But gentlemen, we're also talking about the Western Hemisphere, what Iran and Hezbollah are doing right here in our backyard. Kasim, talk about Iranian influence in the West.
As I said before, Iran, from the outset of the revolution, made it clear that this was going to be a global revolution. It wasn't going to stay in Iran. And they've spread westwards. You have various foundations, non-profits all over Western Europe, which are funded by Iran. The links are clearly there. This isn't speculation, and they're entrenched there. But even more relevant to us here...
They've got kind of front groups, I guess, operating.
Yeah, you know, they're promoting that ideology, and who knows what else.
Yeah.
But here in North America and South America, there is documented evidence of Iranian Hezbollah groups committing acts of terror. You know, Argentina, for example, with the embassy bombing, the Amia Center.
1994.
Yeah, you know, you've got involvement within the drugs trade, involvement with cartels, especially within that border region. And there have been numerous incidences in recent years of Hezbollah or Iranian operatives being arrested in the United States.
Wow, that's a scary, scary thought. And Kasim, this is kind of the A-team of terrorism, as Hezbollah has been called. This is a terrorist army with extensive experience in these kind of overseas operations.
Yeah, I mean, they are incredibly effective. You can't deny that. And they are, to call them a terrorist organization is almost downplaying how powerful and how strategically minded they are and their ability to pull off these very big operations.
Yeah, it's a scary thought. Ari, we're talking about the Western Hemisphere. South America has been somewhat of a hotbed for Hezbollah influence. I think of Venezuela, obviously, a country having its own problems right now. But talk a bit more about that Hezbollah influence and presence at America's doorstep there in South America.
Well, I think Kasim really hit the nail on the head when he talked about the bombings in Argentina. This is not a new problem, and this is not a new target for Iran. Iran, as he said, it doesn't operate like a ragtag group of terrorists. Yeah. It has a foreign intelligence services for all intents and purposes. It has foreign operatives. Venezuela, Argentina, Paraguay, Brazil. All of these countries in South America, they have long been targets of the Iranians. There are individuals that are associated, whether directly or loosely, with Iran's foreign intelligence operations, with their foreign terrorist proxy, Hezbollah, all across South America, and as Kasim said, even here in the United States. This is not a terrorist organization that is hidden in some cave. This is a terrorist organization with global reach, and we need to be paying very close attention to what they're trying to achieve in South America.
Kasim, the Golan Heights, obviously a buffer between Israel and Syria in many ways. Why is it so important for Israel to keep Iran off the Golan Heights? Because Iran seems very determined to have a presence there.
Throughout Israel's history, after the War of Independence, from 1948 to 1967, Syrians were just firing artillery into Israel.
Yeah.
It was very convenient.
They
very
had the high
easy.
ground, essentially. With the Golan, you have the high ground there.
Yeah, and there was thousands of attacks in that period. The only time the Golan Heights have known peace for Israel is when they controlled them.
Exactly.
And could you imagine then having Iran there in 2019 with sophisticated missiles, with the ability to look deep into Israel?
Down at the Galilee.
It's
nightmare scenario.
And Israel is a narrow country. It
Yep.
doesn't have strategic depth, and to lose that high ground would be, I mean, it's unthinkable.
It's unthinkable. That's the best way to put it, Kasim. Now, Ari, there is talk in the Trump administration even about ways to kind of reinforce Israel's ownership of the Golan. Tell us about that.
Well, I think that the Trump administration, and I think that a lot of people who are focused on the strategic elements that Kasim just discussed, understand that there's no fathomable way that an Israeli government can responsibly turn the high ground, the strategic high ground, back over to Syria. Yeah. The Golan Heights are going to remain a part of Israel in perpetuity, in my view. The Israelis have already extended administrative and traditional laws there. The time has come at CUFI, we believe, for the administration, for the U.S. government to recognize Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights, because it's simply no other way to ensure peace for the Galilee.
It's long overdue. And now we know there's other legislation in the works regarding Iran and some other good stuff. We'll bring it back on to talk about. Anything you want to share before we go?
Well, I'll simply say that the only thing that Iran has responded to over the years have been strong, biting sanctions. Now, we were very grateful for the president tearing up the JCPOA, the Iran nuclear deal. We were very grateful for the sanctions that were reimposed, but more must be done. Iran continues to try to extend its Islamic revolution throughout the region and, frankly, throughout the world. The only thing to which they have responded are sanctions, and I fully expect that in the coming months, the coming year, we're going to see some additional strong biting sanctions against Iran that curtails its ability to finance terrorists like Hezbollah.
Yeah. Thankfully, Ari, because sanctions are really the only thing that has worked against Iran.
Thing that's worked. That's
basically.
Right.
Kasim, you have some exciting things in the work for CUFI. We have a new morning briefing email that you're going to be putting together every day. It's coming out. Tell us more about it and how everyone at home can sign up for this email.
5 days a week, Monday to Friday, and you can go on the website and opt in. It will be CUFI's daily briefing, and we'll have 5 or 6 of the best news stories, most important things that you need to know for that day, just to keep you up to date and educated. So when you're having those conversations, you're hearing these things, you know what's going on.
Yeah, and you can educate your friends, your family, everyone in your neighborhood about what's going on in Israel and why it matters to them. Guys, thanks for educating us today. Ari Morgenstern, Kasim Hafiz, great job, gentlemen. Folks, you see the website there, CUFI.org. Sign up for that morning briefing. Great information that you will not get anywhere else. Well, coming up after the break, my final thoughts from Jerusalem. We had a big party there recently for our founder and chairman, Pastor John Hagee. We will take you there after the break. Stick around.
Every year, the Christians United for Israel Washington Summit gets bigger, better, and more powerful.
I have faith that with God's help, and with the men and women gathered here, with all those who cherish Israel, and with President Donald Trump in the White House, the best days for Israel and for America together are yet to come.
What's amazing about Christians United for Israel is not just the power of your voice, it's also the importance of the cause you have dedicated your voice to. Standing up against this global pressure campaign on Israel and the Jewish people goes to the heart of our friendship and the heart of America. And the tip of the spear is Christians United for Israel.
Join Pastor Hagee and top leaders from Israel and America this July for the 2019 CUFI Washington Summit. Register now at www.cufi.org/summit.
And welcome back. You know, 2018 marked the 60-year anniversary in ministry of CUFI's founder and chairman, the one and only Pastor John Hagee. Now, we could think of no better place to celebrate this milestone than in the city of Jerusalem, a city that's played such a central role in Pastor Hagee's life. So, not only did we get a chance to celebrate Pastor Hagee and his milestone, we also had the chance to celebrate his good friend, Rabbi Aryeh Sheinberg, for his groundbreaking work in bringing Jews and Christians together. Rabbi Scheinberg is a dear and influential friend of CUFI. Let's look at some of the highlights from those two great events honoring two great men in Jerusalem.
Jewish people are still the cherished people. They are still a covenant people. They are people chosen of God. They have not been replaced. The land of Israel is theirs.
I would say maybe the most precious moments that I have spent at the Koisel, at the wall, are with Pastor. Praying together, holding each other for the success in building love between Christians and Jews.
Thank you, sir, for the joy of a lifetime to stand behind that microphone and say, Israel lives, Israel lives, Israel lives. I am also deeply humbled by the fact that the state of Israel honored me by selecting me as one of the 70 people on the face of the earth that have helped Israel the most since statehood.
Now, it was an honor to attend both of those events, and folks, it's very clear. God Almighty is doing something special, bringing Christians and Jews together for such a time as this. Not only that, as we've told you throughout this show, Israel is stepping into its destiny as a light unto the nations. We see verse after verse in the book of Isaiah promising exactly that, and now it's happening before your very eyes. We live in Bible times, and you can be a part of this story, this great Bible story that's being written today. You see the number and the website on your screen. Call or click and join CUFI for Zion's sake. Well, thanks for joining us this week here on The Watchman. Until next time, God bless you, and remember, never hold your peace.